très très beau livre qui s'appelle « Dites-lui que je l'aime », du titre du film de Claude Miller, mais elle est dans son élément, parce qu'elle est là aussi comme une femme politique. Je faisais vachement gaffe, vous allez dire homme politique, femme politique, pour voir si je ne faisais pas les erreurs de vocabulaire. Clémentine Autain. Et pour traduire
avec camarades, c'est très émouvant, très émouvant. Et la question, et c'est tout mon français parce que ce n'est pas bon. Well, I think the world is very dangerous now, and we see as the economic system collapses, as we did many decades ago, we see the rise of the far right. And the far right becomes powerful when people are afraid. They're afraid for their jobs, they're afraid for their safety, they're afraid, they see the old patterns of society crumbling, and from that fear they take simple solutions, and that's the far right. So I think really it was when I was very lucky. I mean, everyone who sits behind a table in front of an audience is lucky. Everyone is lucky, and I've had so much luck. But the biggest stroke of luck was when I was working in television, making contemporary fiction and meeting writers who were political, talented, with insight, with producers who were political. It was a very political time. And I started to read, and I started to meet people, and I saw the way the world was, and that was the mid-60s. And that was, for me, that was organised for food in our country, food banks they're called, giving out food free to people who would not eat. They increased, in last year, they increased 18% in 1 year.
Les food banks, les endroits qui donnent de la nourriture à ceux qui ne peuvent pas se la payer, elles ont augmenté de 18% en un an. 18%.
And unbelievable. Over 2 million parcels of food were handed out. 2 million.
Il a été donné près de 2 millions de livres par ces organisations de nourriture.
Over 500,000 went to children.
Et un demi-million a été à des enfants.
Now, think what that means for society, for alienation, for despair, for the right wing to come in and say, you're being treated badly. We were struck by the fact that people were there who were working. There was a working poor. They weren't just people out of work. They weren't just people from the street. These were working families who were not earning enough money to buy food. Or they buy food for their kids, but they wouldn't eat themselves. And then we looked into this, and we found that two-thirds of new jobs in the last 10 years are precarious jobs. Two-thirds, over 60%, over 60%. Two-thirds of new jobs are precarious. No guarantee of earning any money or how much. You might work today, but not tomorrow. Work next week, but not the week after. And these people, many of them go hungry. So we thought we should tell this story. And then once you start, of course, the whole situation unravels. And you see this is a process that began under Margaret Thatcher, when she destroyed the trade unions, and she destroyed whole communities. She left old industries to rot. And out of that defeat, employers and big business can say, we turn your labour on and off like a tap. Okay, we'll turn your labour on and then we turn it off. And when we turn it off, you get no wages. Now, that's the story we wanted to tell and why we felt it was so. Relationships, our comedy, our enjoyment of life, and love, yes, absolutely, and tenderness, and grief, and all those things, and the complexity of our relationships is absolutely central to any artistic endeavour. But all our lives exist in a context, and the context is the social situation we're in. So it is the choices we have that determine many of the things of our lives. So there's an umbilical connection between the joys and sadnesses and difficulties of our private life and the social and economic situation we're in. There's an umbilical connection. We can't cut the cord. It has to be there. Yes, that's a very important point you make. Margaret Thatcher said that her greatest creation, her greatest triumph, was Tony Blair. And it's interesting because essentially she didn't need to create him. He would have done that anyway. That is, continue the policies of making the working class solve the problems of capital. And someone else we should quote, who was rather more astute than Margaret Thatcher, and that's Vladimir Lenin. And he said, the ruling class can survive any crisis as long as the working class pays the price. And that's what Thatcher and Blair had in common. Blair added an illegal war which killed probably 1 million people and destabilised the whole region. And Blair and his whole cabinet should have been in The Hague answering as war criminals, because that was a war crime. And to the shame of our country, he's still asked on television for his opinion, still admired by the right-wing press. Because the big problems we experience while we are inside the European Union, and they will still be there when we leave the European Union. And if Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister, the problems will be bigger.
Le Brexit, c'est une distraction, parce que les gros problèmes, ils étaient déjà là quand on était dans l'Union européenne, ils seront toujours là s'ils n'y sont plus, et si Boris Johnson est encore Premier ministre, ils deviendront encore plus énormes.
But to talk about hope, what was interesting, on Tuesday night, we had a screening of, sorry we missed you, about precarious workers in a big cinema in Paris, 900 seats, 900 people, and some sitting in the aisles, so nearly 1,000 people. And they were all activists engaged in political struggle to end precarious work.
Alors, pour revenir à l'espoir, mardi dernier, il y a une projection à Paris, je crois que c'était en Normandie, où il y avait 900 personnes. Et il n'y avait que des activistes dans la salle, des gens qui sont impliqués dans comment résoudre le problème du travail précaire.
And group after group came on stage and told us about the activity. Some were on strike, some were organising and fighting back. They were fighting.
Clémentine ne peut pas répondre, quoi.
A football team can represent a community. A football team can embody the hopes and sadnesses and identity of a community.
Une équipe de foot peut représenter une communauté. Elle peut représenter l'espoir de cette communauté, l'identité de cette communauté.
And football clubs are becoming a hub. They're becoming a centre for community activity and sometimes community resistance. So they can take a political stance because mainly they are working class communities, and the football club is the centre of that community. And people come and meet and have a drink or meet, chat or share a film.